Hello and welcome to Yesterday's Airlines. And in this video we're going to be taking a look at some more of the wonderful ground service equipment and airport accessories that have been created by FantasyWings. Now FantasyWings, as I've said in my previous videos, are probably, in fact, certainly the premier producer of 400 scale ground service equipment and now also a wider range of airport accessories. And in this video we're going to be taking a look at some of their new products which aren't quite out in the shops yet but will be soon, and I thank FantasyWings very much for sending me through these products. And the product for today's video will be these gates, the outer bay set for V131 to V134 for Hong Kong Airport. Now this is quite exciting because this is one of the first times that we've seen a ground set actually made for a real airport that hasn't been made individually by somebody. So it's a professionally created ground set covering 4 real gates that actually exist at Hong Kong Airport. And of course this goes together with the new Hong Kong Airport Air Traffic Control Tower set, which FantasyWings have also sent me, unbelievably, and so I'll also be doing a review video for that as well. But in this one we're just going to focus on these outer bay set. And as you can see here in the picture that I've got up at the moment, it shows you roughly what you're getting with this set. This is the box. It comes in this attractive box here, and this is the rear of the box. And you can see if we flip over that we have also got nice design on the front as well. So it's very professionally done, just like any other FantasyWings products or any other products, 400 scale and 200 scale. And in the set what you're getting is this area that you can see here. You're getting this ramp space which has 4 gates for Type C aircraft. And when we say Type C aircraft, we're talking aircraft in the wingspan range of an A320, A321, MD-80, 737, that kind of thing. So what we'll do is, as per always, I'm going to take a look around this, give you my feelings and opinion on the quality of this set and how this might fit into your collecting. Okay, now, again, as always, Yesterday's Airlines. Please follow the channel and like the video if you indeed enjoy the content. Check me out at the website yesterdaysairlines.com, where I publish a huge range of material on 400 scale. Also, follow me on Instagram at YesterAirlines and at Facebook at YesterAirlines. But let's get into having a look at this wonderful looking ramp set. Okay, so first off, let's just have a look at the packaging. I've taken off the outer sleeve, and you see you've got this internal cardboard box, and then when you open that up, you've got, as you would hope, proper plastic jewel case packaging here, which is really nice, keeps this looking really good. And you can see the contents of the set. We've got a few pieces of ground service equipment supplied with it, a couple of mobile air stairs and a couple of airport buses. And then we've got the actual apron area itself, which is in 2 pieces on top of each other in the packaging. So the first thing to talk about in terms of what you're getting here, just for those that are uncertain exactly what they're getting this really high quality finish printed on surface here. It's really, really nicely detailed, and as I say, it's printed on, so we haven't got decals, haven't got a problem with this coming off or peeling. And you can see it's actually backed onto a plastic frame, so it's very solid. It's not going to curl up. You're not just buying a piece of vinyl here or a piece of paper or card. You're getting printed onto solid plastic. So that's really high quality. I've not seen anything as good as this in any of the other airport scales, and certainly, you know, if you compare this to the Gemini Jets airport sets, then it's obviously much better quality, albeit it's obviously smaller. But that's really nice. And the other thing which I was super pleased about with this when I got it is, obviously it comes in 2 pieces, the frame here, but what actually happens is this is actually magnetic as well. So you see it just attracts to itself, which is wonderful. So it really connects easily. You haven't got this problem of, oh no, how am I going to get this to connect? connects up super simple just with the magnet. So that's really nice, and they fit nicely together. There is obviously a little bit of a seam line here because you've got two boards joining. I don't think there's any real avoiding that. So that's a minor criticism, but I don't think there's anything you can do about it. And what you are getting is this really high quality finish here with this really, really nice printing. And clearly they've taken this from Google Earth images of the gates themselves. So as I say, these gates are real gates that exist at Hong Kong International Airport, Chet Black Kok, and they represent gates V131, as you can see, 132, 133, and a portion of 134 as well. And if you're interested in knowing where these gates fit at the real airport, let's take a look at a map of the airfield to kind of see where they're sitting. So Hong Kong International has this very familiar terminal format. It's got a huge Y-shaped pier, and beyond that, the Y, beyond the tip of the Y there, is where these gates exist in this remote parking space area. Now beyond them now there's also another pier, a remote pier, but that wasn't there before. So in terms of the structure of the gates themselves, one of the interesting things about these particular gates is that they're taxi in, taxi out gates. So you can see here that where the aircraft come into the gate and stop, they can also then continue to taxi out. So they don't need pushback, these gates, which is quite unusual actually for most airports. Also, the structure of these gates is a little unusual. We've got two which are basically straight gates here, and then we've got this third gate, V133, which has a curve to it. And the reason for that is because of this triangular space here, which since about 2005, 2006, 2007 or so, has been taken up by a secondary control tower. So they've left the space for that secondary control tower, but they don't actually necessarily have that as part of the set. Maybe it's something that they will add on in the future. I guess it probably would add, you know, extra cost to the set. I'm not sure how much demand there'd be for that secondary control tower, but nonetheless, you've got the position for it. And as I say, looking at pictures that I've seen, the markings on the gates here are perfect. They look just like the gate markings that appear on the actual tarmac, including, you know, all these little squares, which I presume are for underground fuel tanks or something like that, or maybe that's what these ones are here. But they work really well, and there's even, you know, some weathering and smudging that's been undertaken here. So they look really, really good. I'm super pleased with the overall look of the set. Now, as well as the two pieces of airport ramp which you're acquiring, as you saw earlier in the video, you're also getting some small pieces of GSE, and these are up to the usual high quality that you'd expect from FantasyWings. So there's this really nice airport bus here in this classic form with the doors at the rear and the driving portion at the front, really nicely finished as you'd expect. So we get two of these little buses, and then we also get the mobile air stairs. And again, these are fairly similar to the ground service sets which FantasyWings have been producing up to this point, which means they're really good, high quality. You can raise the stairs up and down on this model if you wish, to accommodate different aircraft types. So you're getting those with the model as well. And typically, as I've suggested, and as they suggest on the box, in fact, other FantasyWings sets go really well with this. This is where buying multiple of their products goes really nicely. For example, if you have some of their really nice lighting towers, then there is space for those here, and I think that's the right position looking at photos of where that would be on the ramp. So you can add in their cargo and their other passenger GSE sets to make this this little diorama really sing. So what we'll do now is we will I'll add in some of the models that I've got, and let's see how they go on the ramp set. Okay, so I've added some of the models in to the set, and these models are exactly the sort of models that display nicely on this, because obviously in this case these are Hong Kong Airlines. So I've got Hong Kong Airlines A320 by Panda models. I've got 3 Hong Kong Express models, which are from a variety of manufacturers. Panda on the right there with the Neo. Then we've got a Phoenix in the U-Fly colours, and a JC Wings version in the Reward U colours. So you can see, obviously, it doesn't really matter who makes the models, as long as they're the right size for the gates, then it is not a problem. So that's all nice and good, and obviously we need to add in the actual little vehicles that come with the set as well. So perhaps this Hong Kong 320 is going to have its all. Take a moment on passengers. Maybe this bus is going to be driving out along the road. So the set looks really, really good with these pieces on it. And if we just try and have a look around, one of the interesting things about the gates, and this is obviously, again, true to life, is that the gate V131 can take up to an A321. And if you go down and look at its details, you can see, I zoom in, that it says it can take an A320/A321, and there's plenty of room for the aircraft. But this gate next to it, V132, that cannot. And the reason for that, you can see, if you just look at this thing, sorry, it doesn't, it's got A320 but not A321. The reason for that is because gate V133 here requires the room for the aircraft to move back and forwards, and because the wings are set further back on an A321, it wouldn't be able to do that if it was in that gate. So that's just an interesting technical point there. Having said that, V133 itself, if you're looking, and see that gate is capable of taking A321, so that's quite interesting. But you can see that the aircraft sit really nicely on this. If you've got a nice background and not just a boring blue one like I have here, then these are going to look really good. And there's just enough room for the A320 for V134 to sit and just perch on the edge there. But obviously, if you had the air traffic control tower set, then that would complete that gate and add a tower as well. So that would be extra and a really good addition, and obviously one that I've got and I can show us in another video. But looking across these, I think this looks really, really nice. The grass over here is not printed on. This is a felty type grass, the sort of thing you'd get at a model railway. It has a bit of 3D feel to it as well. Maybe it's easier if I try and move the actual display piece. You can see how it looks, and of course I can always just unclip that part, remove the magnets, and give a better view of this portion here with these two A320s on. So it's really easy to set up this set, and it's really easy to get it displayed. You obviously need a bit more space than I've got here, and it's difficult with the iPad maneuvering the video, but it's super easy to set up and it looks very professional. And if you had a little display cabinet to put this in, I think that would work on its own. Alternatively, I get the feeling that FantasyWings will be providing further add-ons to this set, so maybe in the future we'll be able to expand it out. Who knows, maybe we'll be able to create the whole Hong Kong airport. I imagine that'll get expensive, but nonetheless, I think this looks really good. So that's it with some very contemporary aircraft. Let's change it over and add in some slightly more classic aircraft. So obviously the set works well with any Class C aircraft, and here we've got a slightly different, older view of how these gates may have been used, probably not long after the airport was opened in the late 90s, in the early 2000s, and a much more interesting view from my perspective. We've got a pair of Chinese Mad Dogs, both MD-90s in the colours of China Eastern, China Northern, and a China Southern Embraer regional jet there. And you can see again that they look great. They fit really nicely on the gates. Well, you just moved out of position somewhat, but you can see also that there are gate markings for these types as well, as you'd expect, because there used to be quite a lot of MD-80s and 90s visiting the airport, and there were airlines, not just China Southern, but also some of the local carriers which used the regional jets as well. So you can see that it talks about the ERJ-170, and I think it was was it CR Airways, and one of the an airline which eventually I think became, maybe that's the predecessor of Hong Kong Airways. Airlines, sorry, I can't remember. But nonetheless, you can see these look excellent as well with the set. Actually, they look better. Of course, MD-80s just look cooler than A320s. And the set works just as well. So you don't have to even use this to represent Hong Kong if you don't want to. I mean, obviously it's easy for me because I've got a lot of Chinese airliners, but you could use this to represent any airport or a fictional airport, and you're getting something which is really high quality, but at the same time not particularly expensive. I've looked around and seen the prices that are being charged for the pre-orders for this, and they're not too bad. So basically it's the cost of, in fact it's less nowadays, the cost of one of these models, and you're getting this really nice round display set. So I'm really pleased they've been able to keep the price down, because one of the things which is quite off-putting about buying this airport accessories and ground service equipment is just the cost of it in comparison to the actual models themselves. But these, or this set, is actually really nicely and well priced, and I think it does add a huge benefit to your airport and your model display. So this could easily pass, I think, as the gates on a US airport, or you know, a European airport, the remote gates quite comfortably. It doesn't have to be Hong Kong that it's representing, but I think that it looks really, really impressive. I really want to find somewhere to display this now. I'm really out of display space, but and especially when this goes with the control tower, I think that's going to look superb. So might have to try and find some new space to display this. And also I should say that because of the materials it's built on, this should be really easy to dust as well. It's not going to collect dust in the way that a wood platform would and make it difficult to clean. I imagine you can clean this with a wet cloth and it would be fine. So that's good as well if you're going to be displaying this without a glass cabinet around it, then it shouldn't be a problem to be able to clean it. So just to illustrate the point that this works fine as a non-Hong Kong based set, I've got in this scenario 3 UK charter airlines, so perhaps this is somewhere in Spain or in Italy or something like that, which has remote gates, somewhere in the Canary Islands, I don't know. And you see here we've got a couple of 757s and a 737. Now what's also interesting about this is obviously none of these gates technically can fit a 757, but as long as you are careful with the way you put the aircraft in, and in this case put in the 737-300 between them, then it doesn't look bad. The 757 works perfectly fine on the layout. Obviously the wings are slightly wider and they will go over the white lines, but it doesn't look out of place, especially if you've got a 737 in between. And you see all the time airports doing this kind of thing where you have smaller aircraft, larger aircraft, smaller aircraft, so enable larger aircraft to fit into gates. So I think this looks really nice actually as well, and I don't think most people looking at this would notice the fact that the gates are for A320s. I think it works perfectly fine for 757s as long as you're careful with what you're doing. Okay, so that's you know, a look around this lovely new FantasyWings set. The production number for this is FWDP SC 4056, Hong Kong Airport Outer Bay. It looks like it's available from most retailers, and I say the price is incredibly reasonable considering the quality of what you're getting here, which is very high. I actually really like this set. When I first saw the apron set, I was thinking, yeah, I'm not sure this is going to be worth it, but I didn't realise that it was going to be made out of solid plastic with this lovely printing like this, and I didn't realise it had a magnetic clasp. So it's really high quality what's been done here, and it's, you know, photorealistic, and like I say, I mean, actually these guys are looking better even than the Chinese aircraft did on this set. Really liking the look and feel of this display set. So check this out. I think it's a really great initiative. We need more of this kind of thing, and probably less of the sort of thing Gemini have produced up till now with their Gemini airport terminal, which frankly doesn't look at all like any airport terminal that's ever been made anywhere in the entire world. And the layout of the vinyl is not particularly exciting or interesting, and getting to stay down is a problem. I mean, this is so much easier to deploy and to use and to display, and frankly it just looks a lot better. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Check out all my content as per usual. I'm going to be undertaking a review of also the FantasyWings aircraft control tower, which is massive. You can see it sitting here in the box still, and it's a huge and really nice looking piece. So I'm looking forward to getting that out of the box and taking a closer look and seeing how that works with this set. So keep an eye out for that video as well. Until next time though, thanks very much for watching. See you later.